You won't learn! You don't won't learn!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel, and welcome to the Week 2 episode of Russ's Rant in the Tar Heel Mobile. And in this episode, we're going to drive around, like I already alluded to in the first episode of Russ's Rant in the Tar Heel Mobile. And we're going to talk about some things that are going around in the program. Obviously, this being Week 2, App State. I was corrected earlier by one of my brethren from Boone. It's Appalachian State, not Appalachian State. So, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for the correction. So, Appalachian State is coming to Chapel Hill, and your boy feels disrespected. Not by him, but a couple of other App State fans, if you will. And I'm going to tell you why your boy feels disrespected. Because there are a couple of App State fans, obviously being a North Carolinian, you know they do exist. And, I've spoken to them in one way, shape, or the other. And they are still saying that we're coming to Chapel Hill. Here's the key. Expecting to win. That is unstinking believable to me. It's just like, are you being serious right now, or are you joking with me? Is this just kind of you posturing? Is this kind of you putting your chest out? Like, are you being for real right now? Yeah, we're coming to Chapel Hill and we expect to win. Now, this is where the North Carolina Tar Heels have got to shed some of this just disgusting, dirty, ugly skin that we've had over the past 2 decades of, being a flagship university where some of these other smaller schools like App State, like East Carolina, like you name it, actually think that they deserve or should be on the same field as the best football program in the state of North Carolina. Bro, we have got to do something about that. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Do you think Alabama State, if ever they play Alabama, they're like, yeah, we're going to that game expecting to win? No, they're definitely not. Do you think Georgia State, the Panthers, are telling the Georgia Bulldogs, hey, realistically, not just, hey, some rah-rah stuff, we're going to that football game and we're expecting to win? Why is it that these App State fans actually in the back of their stinking head, I guess in the front of their stinking head, are actually, yeah, bro, we're coming in there and we're expecting to win? Are you out of your stinking mind? Like, for real, man, let's be serious. They're dead serious. And the North Carolina Tar Heels need to stinking put a stop to that garbage. You need to fear coming to Chapel Hill. You need to fear playing the Tar Heels. And I'll be honest with you, I can understand to a certain degree of why they would feel that way. Obviously, last year, the North Carolina App State game was an absolute circus, 63-61. App State had over 300 yards of offense in the fourth quarter. They scored 40 points in the fourth quarter against a Division I program. It was unbelievable. And yes, the Tar Heels won, basically, Drake May being Drake May and doing Drake May things before the country knew who Drake May really was. But that cannot happen again. I mean, it was disgraceful. It was unbelievable. And these boys actually think that they're going to come into Chapel Hill and they're going to be competitive against us. And that is exactly why in my preview program, I specifically stated that the Heels need to lay that smack down early, man. It has been a while since we stinking put it on somebody. And I'm not just talking about putting it on somebody, throughout the course of the game. I'm talking about jumping on their butts early and just taking their soul. That's what the Tar Heels need to do this Saturday. The arrogancy. Telling me that you think, oh, we're coming in there and we're coming in there thinking we're going to win. Come on, man. Come on, man. Hey, it's time, Tar Heels. You need to let them know this ain't the 2022 Carolina team. And that kind of goes into my next kind of topic, if you will. And that is, did the South Carolina game show us that the Tar Heels have turned a corner? And what I'm talking about here is just, over the course of probably the better part of the last decade, we have very much so been a finesse team. A lot of teams have, poked and prodded about us being soft, about us, giving up early. You punch them in the mouth and they don't want to get back up. And I disdain that people would say such things about my Tar Heels. I mean, the whole very concept of a Tar Heel is somebody that sticks to the ground and doesn't run from a fight. And so my question is, and I want to know what you think, Tar Heel Nation. Do you think the North Carolina Tar Heels have turned the corner? Do you think that Coach Mac Brown has instilled in these kids a little bit of dog in them? A little bit of toughness? I think he has. And I think that over the course of this last decade, when we saw decade and a half, what have you, we had these crazy just L's against teams like East Carolina, and where they're dropping 70 points on us, and App State scoring 61 points on us. One of the things that I think their program had that we didn't have is toughness. They were dogs. And I mean, some of these kids are 3-star athletes, and, they didn't get recruited by the big schools. And, they have a little bit of dog in them. And when they come to Chapel Hill, or when we go to Greenville, or we go to Boone, they want to show that they belong. And they got an edge about them. They have a chip about them. And I, for the life of me, don't understand why in the past couple of years with the athletes that we've had, that we haven't been able to instill that very same thing into our players. Well, 2023, I think that maybe we've turned that corner. And because we've turned that corner, the very one thing that these smaller schools could maybe point to as reasons why they're going to be competitive, i.e., well, we're just tougher than them. They're soft. Maybe that's not the case anymore. Maybe, just maybe, the boys have turned into dogs. And if the boys have turned into dogs and they're ready to fight and they're ready to get back up even after getting punched in the mouth, and they're ready to punch other people in the mouth, obviously figuratively speaking, well, then maybe we've turned that corner and we just go ahead and start laying the smackdown on people who don't deserve to be on the same field as us. For example, the Appalachian State Mountaineers. It's time to put it to them kids and let them know, hey, you are still little brother. Like, I'm talking about this is a family of 10 kids, and we are the oldest, and we're the baddest, and we're the biggest, and we're the strongest. And you're 2 years old, bro. So yeah, you're gonna listen to big bro. You ain't gonna come in my room thinking that you're gonna start rearranging stuff. That's the mentality that we need to have when the Mountaineers come to Chapel Hill. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for them to get physical with that team. I'm excited to see them boys just start dropping just hammering down, man. I want to see some thuds. I want to see some pops. I want to see some licks. I want to see them instill fear in the Mountaineers. And that's what I'm excited about seeing come Saturday when App State visits Chapel Hill. That's what we need. If we're going to be successful, if we are going to be successful this year, if we're going to truly compete for an Atlantic Coast Conference championship, especially with teams like Pitt, especially with teams like Duke, Clemson, some of these kind of hard-nosed, different programs, even the Wolf Sack from NC State. Yeah, the Wolf Sack from NC State. The team that we love to hate. Man, you got to get some dog about you because we already have better players. That's the whole point. We already have the athletes. We have the better players. We have the better coaches, the better coaching staff, the better facilities. We have all of that. What have we been missing? A little bit of dog. Maybe a whole lot of dog. But you know what? Maybe this is the year where them boys show. And this is the game. I'm telling you, we saw it in South Carolina. We saw it. Can you stack victories? I think AJ from Tar Heel Illustrated talked about that. This is a time where we stack victories. You got to stack them, and you need to win convincingly against this type of opponent. So, looking forward to seeing that. Carolina fans, hey, the Tar Heels showed you in week 1 against South Carolina. Got a little bit of man about them. They're tough. You need to be loud in Chapel Hill. You need to be there. You need to be there early. Don't come in, stinking midway through the first quarter. You get your butts in those seats and you be loud for them kids because they're starting to stinking put up, and we need to be there for them and we need to support them. I know when I get to a home game, well, I'm going to be stinking rocking that. If I got to rock it by myself, I will rock it. And that's how we need to be. So, now that that's off of my chest, another thing I want to talk about, obviously a lot of Carolina fans already understand this, is Tez Walker's committee meeting. It's a video conference, if you will. That's going to be taking place tomorrow. I don't know what time it exactly is, but, and I may get some of these things wrong. Go ahead and, make sure that you look this stuff up for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. It's a lot, and I kind of put it together as quickly as I could, but obviously I'm going to be as factual as I can. But it's just the Tez Walker timeline. If you haven't already, Greg Barnes from InsideCarolina did a whole article on this. I'll put a link to that article in the description section, if you will. But it's a great article, just talking about Tez Walker's timeline from the time that he exited high school till when he transferred to North Carolina. And it all starts, if I'm not mistaken, like I said, it's 2018, 2019. He had signed with East Tennessee State, and shortly after that, he had an unfortunate ACL tear, and East Tennessee State advised that they're not going to honor his scholarship. Now, I don't know all of the details pertaining to that, but that's pretty unfortunate. I guess you could understand from ETSU's perspective, and you feel for Tez Walker in that situation. But they advised him that, hey, man, we're not going to be able to honor that scholarship, that letter of intent that you signed. We're not going to be able to honor that. So, Tez didn't play college football the year after high school. And he sat out, and he rehabbed his knee, and he eventually signed with North Carolina Central the following year, 2020. Now, everybody knows that was the COVID year, when COVID hit, and a lot of these HBCUs, they canceled their football seasons for whatever reason. You can do with that what you want. So they canceled the football season. Now, Tez did actually participate in spring ball and things of that nature, but he never played a snap of football. One regulation game snap. Never played a snap of football in 2020 with North Carolina Central because they canceled the season. Not only that, the people around him were saying that North Carolina Central didn't even know if they were going to have a 2021 season. So, in the best interest of Tez Walker, you're not going to play football. I mean, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is time that I'll never get back. You got to take those things into consideration when you're dealing with these young athletes. You know, they're not getting any younger. And this is when he's got an opportunity to showcase his talent. So he says, well, if 2020 is canceled and 2021, we don't know if we're going to play, well, I'm not going to take a chance on that. You know, so he transfers out and he goes to Kent State. He plays 2 years at Kent State. The first football that he's ever played in college, those 2 years. And he makes the I think it's MAC, Mid-Atlantic Conference, if I'm not mistaken. He makes the All-MAC team last year in 2022. So, Tez Walker has technically transferred one time. Technically. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2022 where the NCAA made, or maybe it was 2021, the NCAA made that rule to where you could transfer one time for a couple of different reasons. One of them being, mental health. There were things like academic situations that may have assisted you in getting your degree, things of that nature. And so basically after 2022, when he made the All-MAC team, his coaching staff left. I think the head coach took a job with the Colorado Buffaloes. I don't know where his wide receiver coach or whatever went, but his coaching staff left. So, you know, he had already been, I guess, dealing with some kind of mental health issues, and he had been treated up there at Kent State. Well, because his coaching staff left and his mother is ailing, his ailing grandmother is ailing in North Carolina, he decides, hey, my support chain here has left, so maybe it'd be better for me to go back closer to home and get closer to my existing support chain, which is my grandmother, the woman that raised him. So I think it was December 9th, if I'm not mistaken, Tez Walker decides to enter the transfer portal. The day after, December 8th, that his coaching staff left, he enters the transfer portal, and then he announces that he's coming to Carolina to play football. Well, 2 days later, apparently the NCAA changed their whole stance on basically how many times you can transfer without sitting out a year of eligibility. You know, that was always the old thing. If you ended up transferring out of school, out of one school, you had to sit out a year, basically, I guess, establish residency or something like that, and then you could play the following year after that. I think Joe Daly did that after he left Nebraska. I don't know if a lot of you remember Joe Daly. I think that was like maybe 06. Don't quote me on that, but you know, just I don't know why Joe Daly is the first person that popped into my head, but that's just how long I've been following college football. I can't remember exactly what year he came over from Nebraska. I want to say it was like maybe 05, 06. But anyway, the point being is that you used to have to sit out an entire year, and then you could play the following year. Well, they waived that because of the COVID thing. So he transferred under the idea, the understanding. Now, he knew that he was going to have to put in for a waiver. But he transferred to North Carolina with the understanding that he was going to be able to play at UNC. Well, the NCAA denied that, obviously. I think it was back in June. North Carolina immediately appealed it. It was denied again. I didn't know that there were all these denials. And like I said, look at Greg Barnes' InsideCarolina article for all those dates, because he does a really good job of mapping it all out, of all these dates. There have been a ton of appeals filed on the behalf of Tez Walker, and they've all been denied. And so he finally, he's going to get to basically appeal via teleconference in front of I think it's a 7-member committee of individuals from different schools and or conferences, and they are going to lay out for 10 minutes all the facts of the case, Then Tez Walker and UNC will have 10 minutes apiece to state their reasons why this appeal should be lifted. So they'll have 10 minutes apiece to state their case. And then they'll ask any questions that they may have, and then they will deliberate, and then they will make their final decision. I can't remember, it's like the Committee of Legislative Relief or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Once again, check out Greg Barnes' article on Inside Carolina. But I'm going to be honest with you. I believe that he should be able to play. I really do. And you know, I don't want to tick off, you know, the UNC fan base. That's not my intentions at all. I really hope that he can play. For his sake, for UNC's sake. I think he just adds another dimension to Carolina's football team. But I don't know all of the surrounding, you know, factors in this, because apparently the NCAA said that there's something that's not matching up with the timeline of what they're alleging is the reason why this is a mental health issue and not an athletic issue. And so whatever is going on with the NCAA, they have deemed apparently that it's not mental health involved at all. That's why they have continued to deny his appeals to be eligible for the 2023 season. You know, so I don't know all the circumstances surrounding this thing. I just know that obviously Tez is going to get this opportunity to appeal one more time in front of this committee. And you know, there's two sides of this coin. There's two sides. You know, and this is the one reason why, not understanding all the facts, you know, I'm going to make this statement, and I'll make this statement one more time, or one time only, excuse me, and that is that what we don't want is as college football fans, what I don't want it to be where anytime somebody has a good season, you know, let's just say that hypothetically somebody has a good season at Carolina, and then all of a sudden they can just transfer immediately and play for Georgia, or they can just transfer immediately and go play at Alabama, you know, to where you're creating these super teams. Now, if they're recruiting them and you can get these kids to all go to the same school, well, then that's just what it is, man. You got to be better, and you got to prevent that from happening through recruiting. But, you know, I personally don't want, and I think that that's what the NCAA, and look, I am not at all just, you know, trying to stick up for the NCAA, but I'm thinking that that's probably what this is pertaining to. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I'm just telling you, basically, you know, from the little bit of looking into it that I've done, Tar Heel Nation, you know, that is what I think they're guarding against. And I don't know if Tez Walker and the Florida State kid and the LSU kid, they're all being made examples of. But come tomorrow, he and UNC will have their opportunity to speak to that committee and hopefully get that appeal put in place to where he can be eligible to play, because he definitely adds another element to the Carolina offense. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I think he does change things. I think Carolina's still pretty good. I think Tez Walker makes them even a level better. And, you know, if, for instance, if Tez is not able to come back, if we don't truly have that guy that can take the top off of a defense, well, then North Carolina is going to have to really work on establishing a dominant run game. And I want to see a lot more 12 personnel. I want to see a lot more 3 tight end sets, because if we're missing guys like Tez Walker and Nate McCullum, I think the wide receiver room is good, but I think that they're still young. And, you know, I'd like to see Bryson Nesbitt, John Copenhaver, Kamari Morales. I'd love to see those guys on the field more often together, just because they are so talented. And that's what I would want to see. But I'm obviously hoping that Tez Walker gets the nod and he's able to play starting this Saturday. But those are kind of the big things right now, man. App State, thinking that they can, coming into our place, walking into our bedroom trying to rearrange things, Oh, yeah, we're coming in there thinking that we can win. Man, Tar Heels need to think and shut that down. I would feel disrespected. And, I think that there is plenty of reason for the Heels to be fired up about this football game. I mean, that was embarrassing, guys. And you know what? I think the Tar Heels are going to stink and turn some heads come this Saturday. I think they're just as pissed off, and I think they feel just as disrespected. And I don't think guys like Power and Said and Miles Murphy, I don't think those guys are going to let this be a letdown. I think they're going to have them fired up, and they are going to come out swinging. Like I said, they need to stop the run. That is one thing that I'll talk about. Hey, I watched Nate Noel, man. I watched Nate Noel and I watched Joey Aguilar. If you get a chance, look at some of that film. Gardner Webb, it was a real close football game up until about, I'd say, the third quarter. Probably late in the third quarter, it was a real good football game. But Joey Aguilar can spin it. He can spin it a little bit. Yeah, he's a JUCO, and yeah, he's the backup quarterback. But my man threw 4 touchdown passes, and obviously, I expect the North Carolina Tar Heels to generate a lot more pressure and collapse that pocket just like they did for Spencer Rattler. But he threw some good balls. Now, a lot of his guys, it wasn't like he was fitting it in. Some of them were running free for all intents and purposes, but he can spin it, man. And Nate Noel is a good, serviceable running back, and that's what North Carolina's got to do. They cannot let Nate Noel and the Haywood kid, establish themselves. They need to shut that down early. That's what I want to see. I want to see them fill the hole, continue to fly around. Don't let these guys get in a groove, and finish it early. Take their soul early. That's what I want to see. So, Tar Heel Nation, I want you to like, share, subscribe. If you have not been in here yet, if you have not subscribed yet, hey man, it's time to go, baby. It's time to go. I had a guy earlier say, hey man, I really appreciate you putting together this content and this forum and trying to gather Tar Heel Nation together. I mean, you see it from some other teams, man. You see it from some other teams, and we, as Tar Heel Nation, we haven't had that. Well, we got it now. So we need to go out and get these guys, and we need to bring them in, man. Let them know to come home. There's finally a place. So if you haven't already, like I already said, man, like, share, subscribe, comment in the comment section, man. What do you think? What do you want to see this Saturday with the North Carolina Tar Heels with Appalachian State coming in? You think we're physical enough? You think them boys are going to punch us in the mouth, or you think that we're finally going to punch back and establish dominance? And what do you think about the Tez Walker situation? I want to hear both sides. Put down in the comment section, man. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure that you like this video, share this video. And like I said, man, if you aren't part of the Tar Heel Huddle Nation, hey, jump on the ship, baby. Let's go. Week 2, App State, UNC. We're going for 2-0. How exciting is that? You just can't put it into words. Number 16, number 17 in the entire nation. ESPN's got us at number 14. Power rankings, that's a good spot to be at this early in the season, man. That puts us right in the thick of things, guys, if we continue to win football games. And it's going to be a big spot, man. Big spot. I think we showed a lot of things against South Carolina. Let's see if we can stack some wins. Let's see if we can put it to the old nemesis, if you will, App State, running off at the mouth thinking that they're going to come into Chapel Hill and they expect to win. Not this Saturday, baby. Not this Saturday. We'll catch you on the next one, Tar Heel Nation, as I put old Tar Heel Mobile back in the driveway. It's been fun. We'll holler at you guys later. All right, Tar Heel Nation. Peace.